we'll be speaking on product development. Miss Rebecca Adedire will be speaking extensively on product development, creating an MVP. So she had her first degree in chemical engineering, petroleum chemical engineering, and she came out with the first class. So and she further went for her MBA in project management. She's a self-taught software developer. She's the founder of Mouse Training and guest and host. And two of her app, she successfully built two of our software app. Okay, so Miss Rebecca Adedure, it's so good to have you here today with us. Everyone, please kindly give a reaction to welcome her on board. Kindly give a reaction, please. All right. Good evening, Miss Rebecca. You have the
Hello,
floor.
hello, good evening, everyone.
Good
I was
evening.
actually on a different meeting that was, what's it called? A different link that was shared via uh, email earlier. So, and there was no one on the call, so I thought maybe the class cancelled. So, it's good to find you here. So, my name is Rebecca, and I'm also a tech founder, and I believe most people here are also trying to build their startups like myself. So, Um, I'm so honored to be in your midst, and today we're talking on building MVP. I think that was the correspondence that was shared with me. But before we go ahead, I would just want everybody to introduce themselves and let us get an insight into what you're building or what you're trying to build or what you intend to build, so we can have a conversation around the meeting topic. I hope that's fine. So probably we start from, I don't know how it's arranged on on your screen, but on my screen here we have Joseph, then Adekoya, like that. So can we just introduce ourselves? Let's get to know what we are building and let's see how we can educate each other. Hello, hello.
Yes, you're audible. You're audible. I can hear you.
Yeah.
Joseph, kindly introduce yourself. Okay, I will introduce myself. My name is Adekoya Adiola, and I am the assistant program coordinator for the Founder City Adia Incubator program. Right. So, Joseph, I think you have the floor. You can just speak on yourself and what you are starting up.
I don't think Joseph is there. Possibly we can have,
Uh,
if not everybody, maybe few people, maybe three people.
okay.
Anybody who is interested in sharing what they are trying to build or what they want to build. You can just unmute your mic.
All right. Good evening, everybody. Can you hear me?
Yes, good evening.
Okay. Because I'm not really in a place that would allow me to talk comfortably, but I'd like to share mine. So my name is Blessing Patrick. I'm a tech person. One of the things or one of the startups that I am involved in is a web application that allows tertiary institution students to pay for their manuals and course materials. So through it will be like through their head of class dashboard, and it also gives them the ability to get the payment confirmation through their emails. So that's about the summary of everything.
Okay, that's quite interesting. And I think you're doing something really different. And as we go along with the class, we'll probably just have to learn more about that. Is there someone else who also wants to share what they are building? Any other person? I saw someone's hand was up earlier. Maybe Eniola, I guess. But I think she went off. Any other person building something beautiful and you're confident enough to want to share it? Okay, let's just get started. I think this class is going to be very brief because I would have loved a more engaging class because we're talking about MVP. And for MVP now, we need to be able to go practical about it. And if we can't have so many participation in the class, we'll probably
Good,
also um, round it up as quick as we can. One more thing is, I thought Founder City was a female-oriented program, but I'm really surprised to see some male uh, images and names. So I think you guys are gender agnostic here. So I think it's also good to have that. Moderator, am I correct? I actually thought it was a female specific program.
hello, good evening. Yes, it started out. Good evening, ma. Yes,
Good.
it was supposed to start out as something that was solely on the females, but
Okay.
later the vision was expanded to include males and make it more inclusive. Yes.
All right. Okay, so that's fine.
Yes.
Blessing shared what she was working on. And Blessing, do you currently have have you started working on the application? Does it have a name yet? And what stage are you on?
Okay, I'm in a team of 3 people. We successfully built the web application. I think the server had a problem or something, but it's down at the moment. But we're working on fixing it to be back online. The CEO, yeah, the idea person is trying to find a pilot school. The school's at FUNAB. So it's trying to like, okay, start with FUNAB to see how we can use FUNAB to attract other tertiary institutions. It's been quite a struggle because money has gone into it. Trying to like, okay, get on the good books of some of the people. You have to pass through the SUGs and some other people for them to approve. We've gotten to the level of speaking to some of the agencies one-on-one, but we're trying to see how we can make it acceptable generally in the institution itself. But I mean, that's like one of the things that we are encountering as a problem. But
Okay,
that's like about the stage that we are at the moment.
okay. Okay, so that's impressive. At least you've started to work on something. So today is basically going to be about product development and building an MVP. You have that spark in your mind and you're thinking about that, wow, this is a great idea. I see a gap in the market. Why don't I leverage technology to build a solution? I mean, that's where I was in like 2 years back before I got to this stage without any form of technical coding knowledge. I just felt I need to deep dive into building a product. And as I then, I really didn't even know a lot about MVP. I just think that, okay, we can build a product and people start to use, and then we start to get revenue, and we can also get funding because, of course, the purpose for it being a tech startup is because of the fact that it gives you the opportunity for scalability. Unlike having a brick and mortar shop or having a small business where you're only selling, and if you're not there to sell, you probably won't be functional. But with a tech product, it doesn't have to be you involved in it. Once you've built it, it can run even in your absence, it can be automated, and it can be scalable. That is, in most cases, it can work in multiple locations at the same time. If you build something out of Lagos, it can work within Lagos, outside Lagos, and in different places, and that's amazing. So you guys think, okay, the next thing is let's just get to work and start to, build the product. But then building an MVP is quite different from what we think it should, what we just might have at the back of our minds. An MVP, I'm certain most of us must have heard of it before. It's a minimum viable product. That is, you have an idea. Of course, that idea in your mind, you're having a very, very big vision. You want it to be maybe like the next Facebook. But as an early stage starting out, you don't have that resources to even get something that is going to be so big or so standard and so appealing. So that is the where the term came in of a minimum viable product. A minimum viable product is an early acceptable version, and early acceptable and usable version of your product. Now let's say out let's keep it within the tech space. Now let's take Blessing's project as an example. She said she's working on some products for selling uh materials, like student materials in tertiary institution. So that problem of different classes running after their lecturer or running after their course rep for the material for them to go make a photocopy and the likes. Our product will probably have made it into all classes. We probably must have dropped the product on the app. That is the soft copy of the product on the app. I'm guessing, since it's a tech something, and then the students can have access to downloading it. Although I don't know how they intend to monetize for now, but let's say that the vision is way bigger than that. But the primary uh, goal for that app is for students to be able to get their handouts easily without having to go through the struggle of printing. Now, when it comes to you working on a minimum viable product, right? Of course, you have what originally came into your mind as the idea, and you want to work on that. But then you have a lot of other ideas that can work alongside it, or other features and functionalities. But in terms of an MVP, you probably just need to stick to one first and start to see how that goes. Now, personally, I've been through cases where I've had to, of course, build an MVP. But at the early stages of building an MVP, in my own case, I wasn't aware of these things. I was literally trying to compete with established brands already in the market. And what that did was it would slow down the product development phase, because you're trying to compete and see that, okay, of course, you meet some people and you talk about what you're building, and they tell you, oh, this platform does that, that platform does that. And the next thing they want to do is ask you, what's yours different? What makes yours different? And because of that particular differentiation factor, you want to, of course, go and build something that has maybe extra functionality than what the current competitor has. And you want to put that in yours, and you can maybe say that, yes, ours is different to these guys because we have this functionality, that functionality, this other functionality. And then your MVP timeline is slowing down. Instead of you building an MVP and coming up with an MVP in few weeks, you're still on the journey of building that MVP in 6, 7, 8, 1 year along the line. You've still not launched. Eventually, you might get burned out, and then that ends the vision for whatever you had in motion in the first place. So put at the back of your mind that an MVP is not to compete with established products in the market. An MVP should be a minimum. I know you will be tempted. I know of course, that temptation of what makes us different from these other guys that are already offering this kind of solution. So you might want to add multiple functionality, but don't be tempted to do that. And as early stage founders, don't allow that temptation to be there for you, because of course it makes sense for you to put out a full-fledged product that is very acceptable, has multiple functionalities, and when you're marketing it, you're killing one stone, or you're killing multiple beds using one stone rather than just one stone with one bed. You're using multiple stones. I mean, you're using one stone to kill multiple beds. in such a way that the product is fully formed and fledged out, fully developed. It does A, B, C, D, and you're using just a single marketing strike to just push it out there. And of course, it appeals to the audience. You can compete at the same time, and then you're an established startup that is income generating. But it doesn't work out that way. So the first lesson I want you to just take at the back of your mind is, don't build your MVP to compete. Just build your MVP to get to the market. Blessing, if you can give us a touch point on how your MVP currently, because I believe you should also be focusing on MVP. How do you guys have is your MVP built out in such a way that you are targeting multiple functionalities at the same time, or you're just working on a single functionality and you want to just push that to the market?
Okay, so basically what we're doing is just focusing on course materials and course outlines for now. Although I mean, we got in a meeting recently, and one of us wanted to expand to doing tickets and everything, but I objected because I felt like we want to make it, like you said, when you were giving like an explanation of what the idea is about, which you got right. The idea is to help students, pay for their course materials with ease, and they get confirmation for payment also, and also for the HOCs also to get a compilation of all the names without having to manually generate it. So it gives like a form of backup and detailed documentation that okay, this actually was paid for by this person or by this list of people. So we just want to focus on course materials and course outlines for now. For now, yeah.
Okay, and that's fine. So that's how it should be. You don't need to be branching out, trying to add multiple functionalities. It would definitely slow your development journey. You want to get out a simple product to the market as soon as you can. And then another thing I would just touch on this call is that when it comes to building products, especially for early stage tech startups that don't have access to funding yet, who are still bootstrapped, it is important for you to also try to be minimalistic in your development process. Now, most early stage tech startup founder, especially some people without technical background, you come up with your idea, you write it down. Oh, I want this app to have A, B, C, D, a lot of complex functionalities, and then you get on a team of maybe some developers. Some might believe in your vision and decide not to collect a charge. Some might be charging you because you're hiring the person to come on board. And then because of your use of complex technology as well, it's going to be an issue. So for what I would advise as well is whatever you're building, I'm certain some people might be building some things around e-commerce. If it's not maybe a unique software as a service solution that has like unique functionalities that don't already exist in the market or otherwise, there are really some ways that you can come up with an MVP that's not going to break the bank. You can use no code development tools to showcase what you're building. Now, when was introduced earlier, they talked about my startups, mild strings, and guest and host. Now, a backstory is this: mild strings on its own is a mental health care application where you can access providers. Now, when the idea came in, an app wasn't what was on my mind initially. It was supposed to be a website, right? Where it's of course there's going to be a level of human interaction because you can be able to go to the website and request the service of a therapist or a psychologist, and then you make payment, and an admin is going to be somewhere who sees all of that and sends a therapist across to you, and then you can keep having conversation about your session, or you want to meet up in person for a physical session. But along the line, I just felt, oh, why not just go professional the way it's supposed to be? there was a lot of buzz around mobile apps, and I felt, okay, let's just go into full mobile app development. So I communicated with some guys and we started to build. Along the line, I was also checking out other apps that were doing things like that abroad that had a lot of functionality. So that prompted the cost of that product of making the app to be extremely high. The cost was high because we even needed more guys on board. We needed somebody to handle the front end, another person to write the logic, another person to develop the admin. We wanted a lot of other resources on the app. The app was originally scheduled for 3 months at the maximum to build, but we kept on working on it. 6 months we were still on it, a year we were still on it, and by the time we got to like a year of building, I was already washed up and just drained from the stress. I'd burnt a lot of resources on building the app that I didn't even have money to even get the app to the market. At the same time, I really just sat back and I was like, do I really want to still do this? I'd pushed the app. The app was already available on Play Stores, but at that point, I was not motivated as I was at the initial stage. So that is one of the disadvantage of also trying to be perfect with your MVP. It doesn't have to be. Even if I decided I wanted a mobile app for it, and it's wanted a simple mobile app that does that function of just connecting you, you pay, and providers are on the app, and that's all. I mean, without too many other functionalities, number one, it won't drain the pocket, and number two, it won't take as much time. So I know uh MVPs, you're building this thing is gorgeous, and looking at the fact that a lot of people are also building almost the same thing that you're building. So it's tempting, right? Because you are building something and you find out that, oh, I'm seeing this other guy building, this other guy is also building, this other guy is also building. How do I stand out? And then you're tempted. But now another thing I would also share with you is that um when you're building your products, don't allow the pressure from what other people are building to put you under pressure to want to make yours the best. Rather, uh you should see them as maybe classmates that are chasing the same goal. Right? I'm not talking of classmates like maybe primary or secondary school where you take first, second, and third position. You just probably see them as classmates, just like the way you are in the higher institution, where you are assigned GPs, right? And nobody comes first or second or third. You're just having your own grading score based on your performance. So that's how it should be. And see them as you can learn from them, you can collaborate and be happy that they are also building. But don't ever be in that race to want to outshine or have the best functionality, because in most cases they are also beginners like you are, and putting your MVP under that kind of pressure, it's not going to help you in terms of your pockets, your money, and in terms of even the timeline as well. So try to keep your MVP minimal, and if possible for you not to overshoot your functionalities, and stick to using no code tools. You can create a website using Squarespace, Wix, WordPress. Even if you want to go into mobile app for your startup, you can also use things like Flutterflow. You can use things like Adalo, Bubble, and you don't have to spend so much. It's going to help you to bring out an MVP that's it's of course is not going to be the best of the best MVP, but it can still get the job done. And if I'm also going to move a step away from the MVP conversation, I know that our goal as founders is also for us to get the business running. Because of course we might want to be carried away with the fact that, oh, we're building a tech startup. But at the back of a tech startup is that we want to actually build a thriving business that generates income for us, that brings us money. So the earlier we're able to get something out there that can generate that income, the better. And if you're also going to be a startup founder that wants to also raise funds for whatever you're building, the earlier you get a minimum viable one functionality product out there, and start to generate revenue, the better. Because founders, investors would also want to ask, how much have you been able to generate? If not even how much, they might ask how many signups or how many users. Possibly like Blessings product now, I really don't know how they intend to monetize the platform. But even at that, investors might really be concerned about how many people are currently using it. If you have a record of people who are using it, and then they see, oh, they are using it, they can even be fair with you, to sit with you and think about how you can generate revenue from it. And from there, you're already in motion. And that is, you're already in the motion of running the business, which is the most important thing, not even the platform itself, because the platform can always get better and, multiple functionalities and beautiful when there is the money, when there's the resources to get it, to be better. But your very first responsibility and your very first goal should be to get a simple product that is usable to the market and start to generate traction, either in terms of user sign up, usability, or revenue. So if there's any more question from anybody, you can just raise up your hand and then we can have a conversation around it. And let's see, if you've just started working on your MVP, let's see how you can start to work on it. You can also share your idea, and we can take one or two key functionalities that you should just work on and push to the market. So the floor is open right now.
Good evening. Yeah, okay. So my question focuses on, this is a budding idea that is on paper, but not, it's not yet established or with an app. That does every startup app to startup, does it necessarily need an app at the beginning? Is it possible to start small with WhatsApp? For instance, the business idea is more a social enterprise, right? Not many people are aware of like the orphanages, the charities that you can donate to. So this is supposed to be connected to people who want to donate to charities and the people that own the charities themselves. So is it possible for ideas like that to not necessarily start up with an app? Eventually it would get there, but just, maybe a WhatsApp, Telegram group, and then begin to build and expand from there.
Absolutely. Is very possible. In fact, if I'm able to go back to time, it's very possible to start. Remember, I told you I had a mental health care platform using an app. I started with a website, but rather than pushing the website, I just thought, okay, let me divert my funds into app, and I shared the journey of how burnt out I was towards after spending and wasting time. So you don't necessarily even have to start with the app. For the idea you just mentioned, you can always start with a WhatsApp. You can even start to build your social capital by attending functions around social enterprise. Get a brand, put up a simple website that shares what you do, and then start to get community, start to work on it. Eventually the funds will come and you can be able to even build an app. And I think another thing could be the fact that building an app might be like, of course, we see, since they mentioned tech startup, of course, we always feel like tech is like the core of the business. But if without tech, you can still administer your solution, it's not necessary for you to work on the tech first before you work on the business. You can always start to work on the business and bring the tech after. But if tech is going to be a way to solve it and simplify the process of solving it, at least without the use of tech, it might be hard for you to get it solved using manual processes and everything. Then you can decide to start with the tech first, and then after the tech, is down. Of course, not very perfect, but it's down. It can be used. Then you can start to push the business of the startup that you're building. I don't know if that helps.
It does. Yes, your answer was very helpful.
All right. So you, any other person that has a question, wants to talk about what they are building, the stage they are currently at, maybe your MVP is giving you an issue or a tough time, or you're just really just frustrated and tired because it can be really crazy out there. Tech is quite hard and different. You know, it's not like you're starting a small business. With a small business, you want to sell air, you can easily find a supplier and get some packets of air and start to promote, put on your status, and start to make money like immediately. But with tech, in most cases, it doesn't even work that way. Even with a social enterprise like you just earlier shared, as long as it's something of impact, it's not always as fast as it is, because it's something of impact takes a lot of time, and that's because of the fact that it's quite very impactful. It's not just something simple like any Tom, Dick, and Harry can easily just pick up and start to run along with it. So it's quite a journey. So if you're working on something tech startup related, or a business and you want to enable the business using tech, and that's why you're on this call, you can be confident enough to share, and feel free to even share your idea, because I've been in this stage where in my earliest stages, I was more of I was more of in isolation. At least I was really scared that if I really go full out to share what I'm trying to build, some other person might steal the idea. But it's not true. Nobody's out there to steal anybody's idea, because the way you the way you conceive it is not the way I conceive it. So even if I'm having something that you're trying to build, the way I have the vision might not be the same way you also have the vision. I mean, it's not going to be like 100% identical. It might just be similar or close. So just really feel free and share what you're trying to work on, and let's see how we can help you uh to modify or put some insight on how you can like get it in motion, and save a lot of time, money, and energy. So any other person who wants to say something? Okay, I think we don't have any much contribution or any more questions. I think I've shared some valuable insights onto building your MVP, and I just hope what I've shared is quite helpful. So one more thing is, you can always share your, you can always share my contact the to the participants of this program as regards MVP. And maybe if there's anybody who's having a challenge with building their MVP, or they want to even come up with a simple MVP that does not require so much code base, and you need help with that, you can always feel free to reach out to me, so I can walk you through on what you can do and how you can get your products, how they're not fully fleshed but usable in due time. So, moderator, I hope that helps.
Yes, yes. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, so I think that's all for now. Um, in the absence of,
Yes.
you want to say something?
Thank you. Sorry. Yes, that you should please share your socials, like the name for LinkedIn, Twitter, which is more accessible.
Okay, you can reach out to me on LinkedIn. I'm almost always online on LinkedIn. Okay, let me.
Okay.
You can
Your
connect.
name is Rebecca Dedere.
Yes, on
The
LinkedIn.
name, your
Yes,
full name. Okay.
yes. I just
So if you
dropped my.
still have questions and you have a problem with your network, because I know some people have mentioned that in the group, you can please send it to a chat or send it to the group, and it will join. It will be sent here as well for
Okay.
those who have problem with the network and asking questions. And like you said, the name on our LinkedIn is Rebecca Dedere. For tweet, so that's the platform where you're most accessible now.
Yes, I would also
Yes.
share the link to my LinkedIn, so you can just
Okay.
click
All
on the
right.
gets you directly to my profile, and we
Okay.
can also have a conversation or a chat. Um, think my network is also trying to be slow, so just give me a moment. Don't let me take much of your time. LinkedIn is not coming up, so I will just share this with Olumide on our WhatsApp, and I'll share my link with her. I think she can always share it on the group as well.
All right. Thank you very much.
All
Thank
right.
you so much. Thank you for the lecture. It was great and insightful for giving us tips on how to start a small business, how to ensure that we do not waste or focus too much time on the wrong things before the business itself kicks off. So thank you so much. Some people still reach out because I know many people are still saying they couldn't ask questions and it's a bit yes. So we can send our reactions to tell her thank you. Thank you so much. So
Okay.
Adiola will be yes. Thank you so
Yes.
much.
Let me drop my link now. I'm able to get it.
Okay. All right. So Adela, you can take over as moderator back.
Okay. Thank you very much. Have a
Okay. So
lovely
she has dropped. Yeah. Thank you so much. She has dropped a link in the chat. Our profile link. So it's something that we can easily click on, and you connect to our LinkedIn profile immediately. So for those who still have questions, you can immediately go. You immediately have access to her, and we can ask the questions that we need. Thank you so much.